Topping today's news, 3 weekend homicides and a relatively quiet period from gun violence. The coroner's court rules another police-involved shooting as manslaughter. The country records another traffic fatality, and the downtown Bay Street area gets a much-needed cleanup. Good evening, Bahamas. I'm Jcn. This is your Jcn Evening News. It's a pleasure to have you join us. The country's murder count now at 51, according to Jcn's records, with criminal investigators launching probes into 3 homicides in less than 48 hours. The latest killing happening in the early hours on Monday morning when a 31-year-old male of Peach Street off Montrose Avenue was gunned down at his home. Officer in charge of the Criminal Investigations Department, Chief Superintendent Michael Johnson, says officers were alerted to gunshots from the Montrose Avenue area shortly after 1 a.m.
Police were alerted by a spot shotter in relation to a gunshots report in the area of Peach Street. When they arrived on the scene, they met a female who said that she heard a knock to her door. Her boyfriend got up to answer that door and was approached by a gunman who opened fire on him, shooting him multiple times about the body. EMS was called. They checked the body and they found no signs of life. Again, like always, we appeal to members of this community to assist in calling 919 or Crime Tipsers Line or the Central Detective Unit or Criminal Investigation Department with any information they may have in relation to this latest homicide.
Police following.
While Superintendent Johnson did not provide a motive behind this incident, he says the police are following significant leads. Prior to this shooting incident, sometime around 9 p.m. on Saturday, a 39-year-old male of Culmersville was shot multiple times about the body outside a business establishment on the corners of Wolf Road and Claridge Roads. The victim was along with another male when he was approached by a third male wearing a dark hooded jacket and blue jeans. According to eyewitnesses, the victim and the suspect got into a verbal altercation. The suspect then produced a firearm and shot the victim, who succumbed to his injuries on scene. A 32-year-old male of East Street who was exiting the establishment at the time was also shot to the buttocks. He was taken to hospital via emergency medical services where injuries appeared to be non-life-threatening. Police are also following significant leads into this matter. Police probes into homicides actually began early Saturday morning when a 27-year-old Haitian national, a male, was found dead in a one-bedroom structure in a Haitian village off Cowpen Road, west of Faith Avenue. Police believe the male was shot sometime around 4 a.m. but was not found until around 7 a.m. Chief Superintendent Johnson on Saturday morning said little details were known due to the language barrier in that Haitian community. Police are making this appeal to the public.
To members of the public that may be involved in incidents such as this, such as crimes such as this, what would you say right now?
Well, again, we ask that persons take a step back when they're involved in any conflict. We should try to resolve our conflicts better than this and not to use lethal force or take matters in our own hand.
These 3 murders come on the heels of National Security Minister Wayne Munroe revealing during his budget communication last week, Monday, that homicides decreased by 16% in 2023 so far compared to the same period in 2022. At the time, there were 48 killings on the books. He also noted that murders decreased by 15% on New Providence, while decreasing on Grand Bahama by 50%. Minister Munroe said retaliation, gang warfare, narcotics, and conflicts were the prevalent motives for the majority of the incidents, with a majority of victims and suspects being males between the ages of 18 and 35 years old. Just weeks after the coroner's court ruled that the Azario Major police-involved shooting on Fire Trail Road in December of 2021 was homicide by manslaughter this past Friday, the coroner's court again ruled that a man shot to death by police in March of 2019, also homicide by manslaughter. Shanton Forbes, who was just 21 years old at the time of his death, was shot and killed while attending a family gathering on Graham Drive in Yellowella Gardens after police officers, Police Constable 3731 Greenslade, and Police Constable 3725 Young responded to complaints of a man armed with a firearm. Police alleged that Forbes pointed a gun at them, and as a result, he was shot multiple times. Two witnesses testified that Forbes did not have a weapon. Meanwhile, the police produced a handgun they claimed Forbes was armed with, but there were no fingerprints evidence on that to prove that he was in possession of that firearm. Forbes' family was represented by attorney Calvin Farquharson. It is now up to the acting director of public prosecutions to determine whether the police officers will be prosecuted. Meanwhile, Police Constable Greenslade is currently on bail for the shooting death of Danrico Carey in Nassau Village in November of 2021. That incident was caught on the body camera of the police officer, and it involves 3 other officers who have also been charged with Carey's murder. An early morning traffic accident here in the capital resulted in the death of an unidentified individual. Police say the incident reportedly occurred around 4:30 this morning on Carmichael Road, just west of Blue Hill Road. Initial reports indicate that a vehicle collided into a utility pole in the area of Southwest Plaza and on impact burst into flames. Fire services responded to the scene and upon extinguishing the blaze, discovered the body of an individual burnt beyond recognition. At present, police are unable to provide the make or model of the vehicle or the gender of the deceased. Investigations into this matter continues as well. As the 2023-2024 budget debate continues in the House of Assembly, this morning, Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Michael Dowell previewing some of his contribution. Dr. Dowell spoke to a very aggressive infrastructural agenda as far as improving healthcare facilities in the Family Islands, similar to the renovations occurring at the Princess Margaret Hospital.
We're doing similar projects at the Rand Memorial Hospital, and we're renovating clinics throughout the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, here in New Providence and on our Family Islands, all as a part of bringing healthcare infrastructure to the level that we believe is necessary for the Bahamian people, and to activate integrated healthcare where we coordinate through digital platforms what is happening at our tertiary facility, secondary and primary facilities. This is a transformation process. I have right now in Parliament the new NHI bill that will repeal and replace the current NHI Act. That will put primary health care on steroids as we begin to activate catastrophic care, which is a part of our agenda in this term in office.
As it relates to a new hospital that is expected to be built on New Providence, Dr. Dowell responded to questions about possible locations for a new hospital, saying there will be public consultation.
Well, we are always concerned because as we begin now to move closer as it relates to the construction, there would have to be meetings with the various communities that are in close proximity. But I want to make it very clear, there's very few places where you can find 50 acres of land away from everything that is not in wetlands. And so to put the hospital, our health planners have to look at the various connections with major highways to get access in a very quick fashion to a hospital. We will definitely have town hall meetings. I'm so pleased that the geotechnical studies, the environmental impact assessment, the topographic studies is clearly in favor of that location. I would speak more to it in my budget presentation.
As for concerns about the budget decrease for the Ministry of Health and Wellness, particularly $10 million of the Public Hospitals Authority, Dr. Dowell says such decreases are directly related to the COVID-19 spending, which has subsided from as much as $34 million to just $500,000. And finally, in this segment, Prime Minister Philip Davis is expected to return home from Ghana on Tuesday. He is on the African continent representing CARICOM at the African Export-Import Bank event. A statement from the Office of the Prime Minister noting that this important visit marks another step forward since the Bahamas signed a memorandum of understanding with the African Export-Import Bank in November of last year. The Afri-Exim Bank has committed to invest $700 million in the Caribbean. The Prime Minister's visit also highlights the increasing cooperation between CARICOM, the Bahamas, and our African partners. It aims to foster mutual economic growth, cultural exchange, and social development. We'll take a break here. We'll be right back after these commercials.